Hi, I'm Jenny from the Missouri Star Quilt Company, and I am here today with Lynn Hagmeyer from Kansas Troubles. Welcome, Lynn.
Thanks for having me.
Oh, it's so much fun to have her here, and I want you to take a look at this quilt behind me. This is a gorgeous quilt, and of course you know in the way we do things, it's quick and easy. I discovered that Lynn thinks a lot like we do here. She loves pre-cuts like we do, and she's come up with this amazing way to sew these together. So she has a new book out. It's called Loose Change. And the change, what does this refer to?
The whole change concept is layer cakes are 10-inch squares. We call those dimes. 5-inch charm squares are nickels. And the little minis that are brand new from Moda just this year are pennies. So we stack them all up and get projects like this.
It's awesome. This book is full of cool ideas.
It
and
is.
Easy. You know, we love the easy here. So we want to show you how to make this quilt, and you are just not going to believe how easy this is.
So for this quilt, we're using KT Favorites, which is a brand new fabric collection that comes out in December. We need a layer cake, a charm pack, and 2 fabrics for borders.
So the KT Favorites came about how?
We did a KT Favorites 1 about 3 years ago because we had so many requests for some of the older prints. You know, I've been doing Fabric for Moda for 14 years. And there were some older ones that people were requesting to have come back. And to have a basics line in the warehouse all the time, so you can always get Kansas Troubles red or green or blue. Instead of doing a splatter or a real solid, I decided to go back and select about a dozen of my prints. So this is the second offering, and I take requests. So for KT Favorites 3, if there's a print in your collection that you can't live without and you hate to cut into it, let me know and we'll redo it.
The cool thing about the fabrics with the Moda designers is that they're in a colorway.
Yes.
So you'll never come out with hot pink. This is always going to be your line. So what people have of this years ago is going to blend with years from now, which is so awesome for the consumer. Really cool.
Well, and one of the fun things about doing these layered patchwork quilts is that if you use 2 different fabric lines, a layer cake and a charm, you actually have 80 different fabrics to play with.
Oh, that's fun.
And they're going to play together nicely, but you don't have to worry about getting the same print
very cool
next to each other, which bothers me.
Yeah, so show us how you do this.
Okay, we've created this 5 dime ruler, which not only centers but cuts your pieces. So the edge of the 5 dime ruler fits along the edge of your layer cake, and in the little L, your charm pack is perfectly centered.
And this gets the charm pack right smack in the center.
Yes.
And you don't have to do any crazy measuring or 2 inches. You just lay the ruler on there and do it.
That seemed to be the most difficult part of making this quilt, was people measuring over and over and over to make sure it was centered.
There's some OCD people out there.
It is.
It's got to be right there.
And it drove me nuts. So it's like, just put it on there. So this is how it works, is with our 5 dime ruler.
Perfect.
Then you just need to put a pin in opposite corners to hold it, and I will let you go to the sewing machine. We are going to stitch this about 1/8 of an inch from the inside of that pinked edge. We're embracing that pinked edge. I know it kind of freaks out a lot of people. They don't know what to do with it. So we are going to embrace it and use it as a design element. Start in the center of one side and just stitch all the way around, and I'll cut it so that our loose threads then beginning and ending are in a seam allowance.
Okay, so I am starting right in the middle on this one side.
Correct.
Now, how perfect does my 1/8 of an inch have to be?
As perfect as you're comfortable with. It is always better to be a little wider than a little narrower, because you don't want your stitching to run off into the pinked edge, because it may ravel a little bit.
Okay, I think my pinked edge is going to be like my 1/4 inch. It's going to be just a hair fat.
That's fine. When the quilt is washed, the edges will just curl up and softly fray. It won't unravel because of the pinked edge.
Yeah.
So the narrower or wider you're stitching in will depend on how much that curls up. So it'll just be a little more primitive for you if your 1/8 inch is a little bit fatter.
Mine will just be a little fluffier.
That's right. And that it's really a very fun
It's a cute
effect.
look.
It's great for kid quilts. I have a granddaughter who just pets hers. It's been washed so many times. She loves
quilt petting.
Yes. Well,
Okay.
I'm hoping in the future she'll be a quilter.
I have several granddaughters that are, so it's a good hope. It's good to put your needle down and pivot. And one of the things about that I noticed on this, that Lynn uses kind of a gray-green thread, and it just goes with all the colors, so that's kind of handy to know.
You don't have to change thread on the lights or the darks. You just pick a thread and go with it.
All right, I have sewn mine 1/4 of an inch here. I mean, not a quarter, 1/8 of an inch, but it's a little fat of an 1/8. But she says it doesn't matter. It's okay if it's a little bit in a little bit, it doesn't matter.
So we position the ruler in the L position to center our charm square. Now we're going to turn it around like a 7 to cut. So the ruler will line up along the top of your layer cake and right along the edge of your charm square, so you know this is cutting it exactly.
We're cutting
in
it.
half.
We're cutting it right in right down the middle in half on both sides.
And then hopefully without
do we just turn this?
Nope, I turned my ruler actually, but you can do it either way, dear.
Perfect.
Okay.
There we go.
And like you
I'm
had,
so helpful.
a rotating little mat is perfect for this project. You cut it again. We have a 4-patch that has the
How
little
cool is
stitched
that?
parts. So to make a block, my fabric lines are comprised of 25% lights and 75% darks for the most part. So out of 40 prints, you're usually going to have 9 to 11 lights and the rest will be darks. In order to evenly distribute the lights over the quilt top so it kind of sparkles, we want to pull 4 darks.
So what you just mix up all these blocks. We'll have all these ones cut.
We'll
and you
have them
mix
all
up.
cut. We'll put...
Why don't we cut one more of these?
Cut one more?
Yeah, cut one more. And I think
Okay.
it's good for people to see too, just to show them.
Okay.
I love how the ruler it's multi-use. You know, a
Yes.
template's good for one thing, but if it can do more things, it's awesome. So this actually, you know, centers the thing, and then and look at her smart all turning her ruler.
Well, this isn't so bulky. I feel like it stays a little straighter that way.
That is probably true.
So then we have...
So let's move these down here. Hey, look at that. So now you just put it together like a 4-patch.
Correct.
Oh, that's so cool. All right, I'm going to go over and sew these. And now this is your 1/4 of an inch, right? Regular
Now,
quarter?
we use a regular quilter's 1/4 of an inch seam.
And if you've sewn them the same, like the same on the outside edge, do you know what I mean, all the way around?
Yes.
They'll match up. You don't have to like lay them out or
Correct.
anything.
And I don't worry so much when you sew the 4 back together. The pinked edges may not come out absolutely perfect, and we're okay with that because this is a primitive process, but I'm really a quilter when it comes to that intersection there. I really like for that to match up.
So we've got the 2 pieces here, and now we're just going to lay them on top of each other this way.
Correct.
And we're going to nest this up. Should we press this first?
You can. Finger pressing it works for me.
Okay. So I'm going to take it over here, and I'm going to make sure that seam is together. I like to kind of anchor sew a few stitches, and then I'm going to come down here to this seam and make sure those pieces are laying in opposite directions and they're nested all snug.
This is one of the few projects that I will actually press the seam open.
Oh, okay.
Because when I lay the quilt out, all the blocks,
look how beautiful.
I turn it so many times to get
All right,
my color placement.
Why don't you iron that? So she's going to iron her,
I'm going
press
to do
her
my
seam,
opposing seams.
and then press that middle one open. I sometimes, if I do a pinwheel or something like that, I press the seams open. It's so...
Well, very seldom on something like this are you going to quilt in a ditch. And that's really the only reason not to press your seams open is if you think you'll be quilting in the ditch.
And
So
that
there you
reduces
get-
your bulk. Look how cool that is. And that's the whole quilt right there.
That's
That's
the whole thing.
quilt.
This has 42. We have used every layer cake and every charm square and 2 fabrics. So you're talking, your supplies are less than $100.
So is there any trick to laying it out? Does the light or dark always go up one direction or
I
another?
try to alternate and kind of mix it up.
So then you're just sewing these big squares together.
Yeah, in rows.
Yep.
And you can do just about however
start another row
you
here.
want.
She's got some all laid out. This is so pretty. Yeah, it really doesn't matter where they
No.
are, does it?
I try
Look
not
how
to
cool
get a
that
couple of
looks.
lights together, but you know, it really is. All the fabrics go together, everything coordinates. It's really pretty simple.
That is really fun.
Oops. Try not to put two of the same thing together there, but
That is really fun. Look how cool that is. So let's sew two of these together. And again, this is what's going to nest right here. These
Correct.
two little seams. And oh, and look what she did. The magic twist. That's a fun little trick
when I have time.
that quilters use.
Yes.
I've never actually mastered that, you know. I've been shown it a zillion times, and it's one of those things where I'm like, you know, I never can remember which seam to pick. It's terrible. So I press open like you do. All right, so we're do this, and we'll check and see how easy it lines up. One of the things I love to do when I start sewing blocks together is I just try it, and I don't make a big deal about measuring it just to see how easily it's going to go together. And this went together perfectly, just perfectly.
You start with a perfectly cut 10-inch square.
Wow.
And you've cut it into 4 pieces. So they really should match up. Exactly.
Yeah.
Because there was no chance for you to make an error in cutting.
That's awesome. So here's the cool thing about this. It works with any size square.
Absolutely.
So whatever size your big square is, your middle size is going to be half. And she has one here that she did with charms and candies. Let me just show you this. So here's the finished quilt right here. This looks like a lot of work, but it's done exactly the same way. So here I'm going to just push this out here a little bit and show you here these little.
Nope, those
oh,
are the
those are the
blocks.
big ones.
Yeah, we want to get rid of those.
Oh,
There's
wait,
one.
There's a little one. So look, here's the little candy in the middle of the little square. And see, we've got
and of
some over
course
here.
we have a little ruler called spare change.
Oh, a tiny ruler. How cute.
The miniature version that we would use not only to center again, but also turn and cut. And it really is a time saver.
It's just that easy.
It is.
We don't die over, you know, I mean, it's just so cool. It's so quick. I love the idea of leaving the seam out, and because it's pinked, it's not gonna go crazy on you.
No, no. For a kid quilt in brights, it's adorable. I've done it as manly quilts, and the squares seem to work really well on a guy quilt.
So here's these little ones that are done up. They're so cute. So let's lay a few of these together so you can get the idea. Again, it's exactly the same thing. Works with any size square. What a quick, fun idea. This is really, really fun. I love this idea. So thanks for coming today, Lynn. This was really fun.
Well, thanks for having me, Jenny.
So if you love this project, pick up this book, Loose Change. There are 18 projects in here just like it, and you can get the rulers too. We hope you enjoyed this tutorial from the Missouri Star Quilt Company.